We are back, another episode of Backcountry BSing. This is more like greenhouse BSing.
This is greenhouse BSing. Look at how beautiful this is.
We are meeting with our good friend Jason Wish.
Howdy.
Jason Wish, another of the famous Ohio backpacker YouTube crew.
I don't know about famous.
Yeah.
I don't know. You kind of lead the subs count right now, probably actually.
We met Jason last year at the first Ohio YouTuber meetup, and we've done another meetup with him. Obviously, check out his channel. Thank you for talking to us, man.
Absolutely. Welcome, guys, to my humble little farm here in Bellefontaine, Ohio. Most people say Bellefontaine. It's actually Bellefontaine.
Yeah, and this is awesome because we're on an active farm right now, and then obviously we're in a greenhouse with these awesome tomato plants right now. So we definitely have to pimp Wishwell Farms.
Yeah, this is Wishwell Farms, but we start these off with the same question we ask everybody: how did you get into backpacking?
Oh boy. That was the one question I didn't prepare for. Oh, I'm just kidding.
That's the easiest one.
Yeah, I should have known that was coming. I would say when I was growing up, I always camped out with my buddies in the woods because we have about 1,000 acres on our family farm. And on the weekends, we would just go out and do cowboy camping under the stars, build forts and things like that. And then when my boys when I got married and had kids, my boys came along with us. We called them man trips. Father-son trips, basically. And our very first one was at Red River Gorge. So what an awesome place to kick that off.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, we had all the heavy gear. Kind of like what Bryce had when he started out backpacking.
You could throw him under the bus immediately.
Bryce, you idiot.
But every year, we kind of didn't really do true backpacking. We would load up my brother's sailboat and go out on some lake and just stealth camp on the bank somewhere.
Oh, nice.
So it was so
awesome.
fun. We would take boxes of
cool.
vegetables from the farm and
that's
live it
sweet.
up, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so my very first backpacking trip started in September of 2016. I had just about wrapped up the farming season here, and I'm going to all these farmers markets and talking to tens of thousands of people throughout the season. I was just needed some solo alone time. And my wife suggested, you know what? My dad used to go solo backpacking.
Wait, that's how it started?
That's how it started.
Your wife saying, "Yeah, just go."
Yeah, she's like, you should try a solo backpacking trip. And
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try that. That sounds kind of nice, just to get away from everybody and be out in nature. So I had a backpack and lots of gear, I've gathered over the years, but nothing lightweight or anything.
Yeah.
And did a 23-mile loop that circumnavigates Burr Oak State Park Lake. And I did it in 2 nights, 3 days. So it was no hardcore backpacking, but I actually got to go out, test out my new Hennessy Asin Zip that I just bought for that trip.
And wait, how long ago was this?
It'll be 3 years this September.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've only been backpacking for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Officially lightweight,
And
attempting lightweight backpacking.
You jumped in deep too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went from like 0 to 60. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
Now you're crushing 20-mile days.
Yeah, there's something about the long mileage days that I really like.
You like the high mileage.
I do.
That's pretty sweet though.
And I was actually just thinking about that in my last trip video that's I just returned from yesterday. About at mile 12 to 15 is where I start to get worn out. The feet start getting a little tired.
That's where we stop.
Start to zone out a little bit. And
That's
just
where we
get
stop.
they start getting in this trance and you just go.
Yeah, just go.
And but then it gets kind of easy again. It's almost like a second wind, like runners get when you're a runner.
Have you been into like endurance sports at all?
I ran cross country and
okay,
so
there it
that
is.
was it. And I did not enjoy it.
That's interesting.
But I was pretty good. I was decent at it. So
did you? So a lot of people we've talked to on these. Did you get into YouTube when you got into backpacking?
yes.
So we can see the evolution of you backpacking.
You could see
on
my
YouTube?
horrendous shaky footage with my old Panasonic Lumix.
So-
that's where you
Panasonic
started
Lumix
on.
camera.
A
Yeah,
Lumix,
Burr Oak State
nice.
Park was my very first ones.
So why did you decide for your first trip to document it and then put it on YouTube?
I feel like I grew up with a video camera in my hands.
Okay.
At age 14, I had one of the giant ones in 1988.
Oh, like like on your
Great big heavy
You
20-pound
should
cameras.
do like a retro backpacking trip.
Oh,
with
that'd be
your
sweet,
camera.
man. I probably have some old footage somewhere. That'd be awesome.
hysterical.
But I always filmed around the farm, jumping on
Yeah.
trampoline, all my friends just screwing off around the farm. And then I always filmed our man trips with the kids, our father-son trips, and I never put them on YouTube. I didn't really know anything about YouTube at that point. But I started watching Syntax and Frozen
Yeah.
Okay.
in 2016, early in 2016, and that's where I started getting the idea of taking a camera along with me and actually vlogging kind of on the trail and putting it on YouTube. So the very first video wasn't very good at all, but it was my first attempt at actually trying that, and I had fun doing it.
Yeah, you know what? You just gotta get content out there. People will watch it.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to talk to people who started backpacking YouTube at the same time to see how the backpacking and YouTubing kind of influence each other. I don't know, because we started backpacking way before we were ever into YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because we started I started watching Syntax and Frozen. Those were the first two I started watching too. Maybe it's like a geographic thing because they're closer, and certainly Frozen does a lot of the hikes like close to us. I don't know, that's how I kind of got into him.
Yeah.
But all right, I want to talk about farming.
Yes.
Okay.
So, talk to us. How did you get into Wishwell Farms? Like, how did this whole thing start? I want to know. I want to know about.
I want to know the history.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's a brief rundown of the history of our farm. Around the turn of the century, of the 20th century, right?
Right.
Early 1900s. My great-grandfather kind of homesteaded in this area, probably the late 1890s, and had a handful of cows, just like everybody did back in those days. And it was more milk than their family could use. So he also, on top of farming, he also worked at the Big Four Railroad in Bellefontaine, which was a huge railroad hub at that time. And his wife, my great-grandmother, would take the extra milk to the Big Four Railroad on pony cart and sell the extra milk.
Oh, so
Their oldest son, named Frank, took that business and ran with it and actually started a milk bottling company right here in Bellefontaine called Hopewell Dairy.
Okay.
You can still find the little glass milk bottles at antique shops around the country.
Nice.
So that grew into a huge business. I mean, multiple employees, butter and cheese, ice cream, all that good stuff, and a fleet of trucks. And that was bought out by a huge Chicago outfit in the 60s, and so Hopewell Dairy was no more. And Frank's younger brother, Paul, which would be my grandpa, actually continued the dairy farm and expanded it to about 100 Holstein cows and built a new dairy setup in 1963, and it was actually called the Electrified Farm of 1963. People from all over came to see this new fancy dairy in 1963 milking 100 cows. So if it was still in operation today, it would be one of the oldest operating dairies around. But we sold the cows in 2001 because of my interest in growing vegetables.
So you switched from dairy to produce?
Yeah, we were always grain farming a little bit.
Right.
And when we sold the cows in 2001, I graduated from Ohio State in '98 and with a degree in animal science and dairy science, and with plans to come back to the family farm and take over the operation.
Right.
And I was just losing interest in dairy. I was getting tired of being kicked all the time, cramped on, and everything else. So the interest in vegetables was growing. Everybody was wanting to buy this or that, and I saw potential there, so I kind of expanded that side of the business. And 2001 was a good time to get out of dairy farming. Prices were really good for selling cattle, and I kind of took over I kind of grew the produce business from nothing, and Mom and Dad started concentrating on just the grain side of the operation, and they expanded it quite a bit to about 1,300, 1,400 acres, and they still maintain that today. And then I have a younger brother who is 12 years younger than me, who was a mechanical engineer, and he left that and came back to the farm, and he kind of helps half time with Mom and Dad. Yeah, he's the maple syrup guy. And you guys, I'm going to give you guys a bottle of that maple syrup.
Oh,
nice. Nice.
You got to sample the good stuff.
Yeah.
So my brother Joel helps me part-time and helps my mom and dad part-time. We kind of all help each other right now because my dad's kind of phasing into retirement age.
Okay.
Right. So
we're kind of bringing it all together eventually in one operation.
That's cool. So everybody's got a different kind of like focus on running the business.
And mine's this time of year, obviously, the greenhouse tomatoes.
But then you make your brother sell it all at the farmer's market.
I was going to say, he's the one we see at the farmer's market.
I actually started selling everything at the farmer's market, but I'm kind of trying to slow down that side of it just a little bit. I stay back in the background here at the farm and make sure all the trucks are packed and sent out to the farmer's markets, and make sure I have good employees to run those so I don't have to be there all the time.
Yeah. Are you the only person in your family that's really into backpacking?
Yes. My oldest son, who is 17, Gavin, he likes to see epic views. So if I tell him we're going to go somewhere and see something awesome like Indian Staircase or Cloud Splitter, I can get him to come along on a lower mileage trip. He's not into crushing the miles. Like
so he's not coming to southeastern Ohio to crush Archer's Fork?
Get your butt moving.
Yeah.
Come on, you
what's your? This is great talking to another like Ohio backpacker. What's your favorite backpacking spot in Ohio?
You know, we did a collaboration video about that, and at the time, Archer's Fork was #1 for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just on part of Archer's Fork this past weekend. Video coming soon.
Yes. There you go.
And I walked by a couple of the rock outcroppings, but I didn't see a lot of the beautiful part of the most beautiful parts of Archer's Fork. I don't know, man. Mohican, you know, I like Mohican. I like Archer's Fork. Burr Oak, Burr Oak doesn't get a lot of love.
We've never done Burr.
Yeah, we've never.
I don't
done
understand why everybody likes Wildcat Hollow.
I don't.
It is the flattest, most boring trail.
I don't like
There's
it.
a couple nice campsites in the pines, but other than that, I didn't care for it that much.
Yeah, it's got the pine area, but that's
Burr Oak's been on our radar for a while.
Just never done it.
And you can walk to Burr Oak from the Wildcat Hollow parking lot.
Really?
It's that close. Yeah.
It's that close?
Yeah, within a mile, I think.
That's right. I think I knew that.
It's just south of it, I believe.
Does Burr Oak? Do you have to stay in a certain area?
Yeah, that's the bad thing about Burr Oak.
That's what I thought.
There is a little section of it that is a quarter-mile off trail in Wayne National Forest, where they have a little campground. It's a little primitive campground that you can stay in. That's really, really nice. But other than that, you have to stay in one of the designated camping spots around the lake, which makes it a little more difficult. That's just a good one to go crush some miles. Do 23 miles in one day. Come on, guys.
That's pretty sweet. What's your what do you have on the backpacking agenda that you want to share for this year?
Oh
Anything?
man, long term, I would say it's got to be the John Muir right now. I have a buddy that I was actually going to plan the John Muir Trail with, that was with me on one of my Red River Gorge trails, but he had to move to Japan for 2 years for his Honda job.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of on the back burner now, but I think we're going to hit that one eventually.
That's like a bucket list.
And just so you know, we all know somebody, I can't say it on here, but we all know somebody who's doing the JMT this year. And you do too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to.
We'll talk off camera.
Yeah. You'll have to hook me up with that person. So Need some knowledge on that trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll do parts of the PCT eventually.
Yeah.
I have kind of in the back of my mind maybe doing the AT in 2025.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Just because that's when I will be an empty nester.
Yes.
My 3 teenagers will be out of the house in 6 years.
So
my youngest is
through
13.
hiking.
Yes.
So, so you consider you want to get into actual long distance through hiking?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to feel in 5-6 years. You know, that's a long way away.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't even be a backpacker. You know, my wife and I really like to travel. We've been on Caribbean cruises. We've been all over the country. We love to camp. We used to have an RV, so we camped in a lot of state parks around Ohio.
Yeah.
But with my business, I wasn't able to go away for long trips with my camper outside the state.
Okay.
So we got rid of that, and that's when my interest in backpacking came about, was after the RV came out.
Okay.
But there's something about the thought of doing the AT and having my wife be my resupply on the trail with the
perfect.
RV, with the motorhome. She would be on the motorhome and go from point to point to point every 4 days.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Stocking me.
So you constantly have like a mobile hostel.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. Yeah, that's a really
So
good
you know, that way I still get to see my wife. I'm not away from her for 5 months.
Is she into doing that?
Right now? You know, I think so. But
okay.
you know, like I
convince
said,
her?
6 years away is a long time.
Yeah.
So things could change.
Do you ever see yourself being the person that like does the AT then the PCT, like really gets into that?
Yeah, I'm no Darwin on the trail, but
Not yet.
or a homemade wanderlust, but you know, that interests me what they do.
Okay.
If I could make a living somehow traveling,
Yeah, right.
you know,
Yes.
who doesn't
Yeah.
think that? You know, if I could make a living traveling, I would probably farm this much, or not farm at all. To be honest with you. So.
So here, since we're talking also about high mileage, so Bryce actually put out a video this morning he talked about how he's able to maintain like his physical conditioning in order to.
You stole my idea.
Oh.
I was gonna do that next
Call
week,
out.
and now Tim Watson's gonna do it too. What the heck?
That's funny.
But Bryce just mumbles his way through the video, be like, "Oh, just gotta get those leg muscles going."
Yeah.
And so I don't think Bryce is really as educated as you are on the subject. Sorry, Bryce. But what do you?
He's done more high mileage stuff than Bryce, probably.
Yeah, and I'm just ripping on Bryce
Yeah.
here. But what do you do to stay in shape so you can crush those miles?
Well, I started watching a little bit of Bryce's video today, but I got bored and had to do something else. I'm just kidding. I haven't finished.
Fair.
I have not finished Bryce's video yet. I can't wait to see the rest of it, Bryce. Running, I love to run, but I got plantar fasciitis last November.
Oh, okay.
No, 2 Novembers ago. It took me a year to get over plantar fasciitis in my right foot, so I had to quit running. I was no high mileage runner. I would do 3 or 4 miles once a week.
Okay.
That was it, just to keep all the ligaments and tendons or whatever,
Keep it
my
loose.
knees and ankles and feet in
Yeah.
shape. And then I would go out and hike around my block or something, 5 or 6 miles once a week. So that was basically all I did. And I've always weight trained.
Okay.
In college, I did a lot more, but now, with a family and a farm, I just try to hit each muscle group 1 time a week.
Yeah.
So when it's usually lightweight, I'm not out to bulk up by any means. I'm a skinny guy. I have a body more for running and hiking long distances, but I think it's important to keep your muscles in shape. I don't want to be. I concentrate on squats and lunges for my legs.
Okay.
And more higher reps, like 12 to 15.
Right.
And with lighter weight, because I have had a back injury in the past, so I got to be careful not to re-injure my back. But I think when you have a backpack on and you're climbing steps or doing some high incline hills, I think the lunges and the squats really help out with that. I'll admit that I don't have the cardio that I wish I had, so I've been trying to bike a little bit.
Okay.
So when I had plantar fasciitis and I couldn't run, I thought biking would be a good substitute for that. Easier on my foot, and still can get a little bit of cardio out of that.
Okay.
So those are my 3 main things: weightlifting, cardio, and bicycles.
Do you do anything like nutritionally different?
I just try to eat
try to eat
a balanced diet. Everybody can probably eat more fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So
For
I mean that's
sure.
always a struggle. But I live on a vegetable farm.
Yeah,
so
you got no excuse.
6 months of the year. How hard can it be?
Yeah. You eat a lot of tomatoes, don't you? a lot of pasta sauce.
Okay.
So where else are you thinking about going this year?
Yeah, I never did finish talking about upcoming plans. We were just talking about long distance
Yeah.
and the future plans. Actually, in a couple weeks, I'm meeting up with 4 other Ohio guys, and we're going to be traveling into Pennsylvania to do some
nice.
hiking out there. There's some pretty neat places in Pennsylvania. I'm going to make you guys wait for that video release.
Yeah,
I can't
tease
divulge
them.
where we're going.
Tease them.
But I can tell you where I was supposed to be going.
Yeah.
Me and the world of coding.
World according to goat.
Me and
The
I
world
can't say
according
it.
to
Take
goat. We got
3.
it.
Just say goat.
Me and the
Yeah.
world according to goat. Yeah, I just call him the goat.
Yeah.
We're going to try to meet up with Frozen from Outdoor Adventures and do 100 miles on the AT.
Nice.
I just had this dream of doing 100 miles. It would be both of our records. My record's 77 miles on the Foothills Trail in South Carolina, and his record's like 80 miles. So we wanted to crush that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going to try to do it in 4 days, 4 nights, 4.5 days. So it was going to be, some 25-mile days, and I'm sure Frozen could handle that no problem now. He probably has his hiking legs,
God.
and we would have struggled to keep up, I'm sure. But that was the plan. But logistically, I think that would have been a nightmare trying to figure out where to park our vehicles and line up a
100
shuttle.
miles.
Oh yeah, you have a shuttle, right?
Yeah, we don't know where he's going to be. Somewhere in
Yeah.
Virginia next month or this month. So that's not going to work out. We're just going to stick to Pennsylvania for this trip.
Okay.
So my burning question is, you bought a tent.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Why
We
you
got there.
Why did you do that?
So if you follow my channel, yes, I can still consider myself a hammock man. But I started thinking a little bit ahead of places I may be. Okay, this is a 3-part answer.
Okay.
First part is I was thinking ahead to places like the JMT
Right.
or other places that may be difficult to hang my hammock.
Okay.
And I wanted to have that option of a super lightweight tent and the ease of setting up and the possibility of taking my wife with me.
Okay.
My wife
That's
hates
fair.
hammocks. She cannot sleep in a hammock. So we now have the tent. That was reason number 2 for my
Okay.
wife and I. So setting up in places without trees, be able to take my wife, and I was getting a bad sleep. I was tossing and turning a lot in the hammock,
Yeah.
and I thought that I would sleep better being flat on the ground. I was just always craving that perfect stretched out sleep and not being rolled up in a hammock a little bit. But I gotta be honest with you, after sleeping in my duplex on the Foothills Trail 3 nights, and then in the shelters twice with Frozen and Gary, I did not sleep well. I was like, maybe the hammock's not so bad after all.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to be back in a hammock now.
Oh, nice.
But I need
What does your wife
advice.
think about that?
I think she's fine with it. She doesn't mind. But I'll still stay in the tent with her when she goes along with it.
Advice for him? I mean, I feel like it just takes so long to die. It takes years, I think, to get really good at the hammock thing.
Well, that's interesting because my wife won't sleep in a tent. She absolutely refuses to.
Yeah, my wife likes the hammock too. Is your wife into backpacking at all?
She did the Manistee Creek Trail.
Oh, okay.
Is that Manistee River Trail with me in Michigan after I went to it.
Okay.
And she had a blast, and I had a blast. So that was a great starter trip for her. You know, we just did a simple 8 miles, backpacked, and then floated back down the river.
That is
perfect.
sweet.
Yeah. And you know, she was miserable in the hammock. She froze because it got down to freezing.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have a proper underquilt.
Oh.
I gave her my double Costco, and then she was inside a sleeping bag, which is compressing the down.
Right.
And I had to use my pad inside a hammock. Tim Watson, how the heck do you do it? It's horrible. No pads and hammocks for me.
Agreed. Totally
Seriously agree with that. But at least but she likes the idea of being outside and backpacking and stuff like that. Just
She loves to travel, loves to be on the outdoors and see, God's beautiful creation just like I do. But as far as hammocks go, I think that's out.
We found if you can convince your wife to backpack, your ability to backpack is better.
Yeah.
I found that at least.
Yeah, and at least I can be like, oh no, I bought this for us.
Yeah, right. Duplex,
Yeah.
Duplex,
Yeah,
it's for two.
That was
Duplex.
tough to justify that expense.
Yeah, that's not a cheap tent.
No.
All right, we have not talked about the viral video.
Yeah, what give us the story on the viral video here. Because
So this was before, originally my channel was just a backpacking channel.
Yeah.
And last September, we were in the middle of soybean harvest. And my dad, like I mentioned earlier, he's in retirement age now. He's 71, and he's had some health problems, so he has trouble getting in and out of the combine sometimes. But he's still able to, and he was harvesting. And we were in a new field that we were renting this year that we didn't know about the layout of the land. And he fell into a little sinkhole in the field. It was probably just a big muddy spot, but it was tall weeds around it, and we couldn't see it. And my brother called me. He's like, "Hey, you need to go over here and help us pull this thing out. It's full of grain in the hopper, and it's too heavy. We need to unload it." So I was like, "I'm gonna take my camera and film this. It's perfect, just to have some video footage for the memories for my dad."
Yeah, that was a real.
I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it would get 100 views. And that thing took off that weekend. 3 days later, it had like 3,000 views. I was like, "What?" And I was showing my buddy. A week later, it had like 11,000. I was like, "This thing is taking off." And at that time, I didn't have 1,000 subscribers yet, or the watch time, so I couldn't monetize.
Oh, okay.
That is what put me over quickly. I mean, I was getting several hundred subs a day.
Yeah, what's your sub count right now?
I'm at 3760.
Nice.
3730.
Was that your first farm video?
Yeah, I
That
think
was
so.
right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I've done some farm videos in the past on another channel called Wishwell Farms,
Okay.
but this one, it was up to around 250,000 or something like that, and I was finally able to monetize, but it took 6 weeks. So I missed out on a huge chunk. That thing was over 500,000 before I was able to monetize.
That's
It got
what it's
approved.
at. That's what it's at.
It's
now?
at 822 today.
Wow.
So
Nice.
Restless Outdoors joked with me that it was going to hit 1 million by Christmas, and it got close. I still think it's going to get there.
You're
but
blowing Bryce's viral video out of the water.
viral, 143,000.
Yeah. It's at 822.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You need to have a party when it hits 1 million.
Yeah. I'll call up.
You could be the millionth watch.
That'd be awesome.
That would be
I'll
sweet.
watch that. But I saw that a Devin had 1.2 on how to use a wag bag.
Does he?
What?
Really?
2.2.
What?
Yes.
I-
Unless I
didn't
saw
know
that
that.
wrong. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You'll have to check that out. I never even watched
What are
that.
we doing wrong?
Well, we're doing everything wrong. So going forward, then, are you going to continue the mix of like the backpacking videos and the
question.
farming
Great
videos?
question.
Yes, I think I have
love
to.
it.
I think
love
you
it.
have to. I think you
Yeah.
do.
I've struggled with the name of my channel. If I keep it Jason Wish, I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
If I kept it at Wishwell Farms, I feel like I'm locked into more farming. If I changed it to Wish for Adventure or something, I think I'd be more
That's not bad.
backpacking. I could be Wishwell Farms / Jason Wish. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just gonna be Jason Wish from now on.
Just keep the farming.
Keep the
stuff
farming
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll keep
I
doing
love
that.
it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have plans to document everything that happens on the farm this year, from
Nice.
all the harvesting of our fruits and vegetables and grain farming.
Nice.
Wow.
That's the plan.
So what are your favorite places to backpack?
Yeah. What's the most scenic place you've ever been to?
Picture rocks.
Okay.
Nice.
And